So what we've got is our canvas board, and you can use a canvas or you can use like a block of wood or whatever you've got at home. You could do it on paper, and I was thinking we could do it on paper. The only thing I was worried about is whether the tape would tear the paper or not. So that's why I've come up with a canvas board. So the first one we've got to do there, I'm sorry girls, could you just move a little, that's it, better. Okay, is I'm going to not put it in the center, and I'm not going to do it straight. Now this is our tree in the, what did we mention when the first one that we put down? It's in the foreground or the background? Foreground. Great. Now I'm going to put a couple of layers on my tree because it's going to be the one at the front. Oh, okay, can you just, I don't know if you can see that, but I've got a little gap there, which I don't want. So that's good that I deliberately made a mistake so you could see what I was doing. Okay. Now I'm thinking one more for good luck, or is that probably, I think that's probably enough for that one.
Shouldn't the foreground tree be placed last because everything else is going to go on top of it?
I thought the same thing, but what's going to happen is we're going to work on the painting from the background to the foreground.
Oh, yeah.
It's odd, I know, because, you know, why don't you paint the thing at the front first?
Yeah.
But it'll work. Okay, now I'm not going to do my whole piece. I'm going to do a section. I'm going to send you off to have a go, and then you can come back and have a look at mine. So could you please go and put some tape on your pieces on this one? So then I'm going to start my next tree. So if I've used 4 pieces on that piece, how many do you think I should put on this one?
2.
2 or 3? I'm going to start with 3.
Is that going to be on the ground tree?
That's, yes. So good. That's such a good question. Is that going to be my middle ground tree? Then if I put this one in here, this is going to be my background tree, and that's going to have 2. And then I'm going to put in another background tree over here, not straight. How hard is it not to go straight? And that's going to be a, oh, I'm just going to go a little bit smaller so it's not exactly the same thing. Go! And human. Having a go at telling you what colours. You've got a general idea of the colours. So I've actually gone to my stash with all my paints, and I've put some pieces out for you to have a play with. I have got a tiny amount of paint for this exercise. So we're sitting at the same table together, so we're going to share our paint. So that's how much you need. So what I'm going to do is I say, let's say, what was the colour? We need to start with the lightest colour first. So this is a warm yellow. I'm going to share this paper so you can have a play. So I might have a go at some colours, and she might go, well, actually I like my idea, actually I like your idea, so that's what we're going to have a go at doing. And the reason we're sharing is a piece of paper is I don't want to waste paper. So let's say I take my yellow, which is going to go, if that's my board, it's about halfway, so my yellow is going to go approximately halfway. Okay, so that's my yellow. I'm going to take a bit of yellow ochre, and I'm going to put some yellow ochre in there. I think that's quite nice for a middle colour. What if I take some of, oh no, that's too dark. That one's too dark. Wait a minute, what if I mix some of that and some of that? Too dark, better. Okay, so I think I don't mind a mix of, okay, I think that's too dark, so I'm going to add a bit more of that yellow. Now that's actually a warm yellow, so I think I'm going to go, for me, I'm going to go a mix of those. But wait, there's more. Let's say we grab some of that green. Oh, that's a little dark. What if, yeah, what if I, see how we're playing? Yeah. So I know I'm telling you what to paint, but you can still have, now that actually dried really quite quickly, so I think what I'll do, that's a stronger colour. So I think I'm going to put, well, it's a bit dirty, but I actually don't mind. It needs to be a bit greener. I actually don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind that. And then I'm going to do the same with the blues. Okay, so you have 1 tray per table. There's some brushes in the trolley. I've grabbed enough water to cover the bristles of my brush and a piece of paper towel. Now, I hardly ever wash my brush when I paint. It's just, I like that. I like having the mix of colors. But if you want to wash your brush, you can wash your brush. If you add water to your paint, you end up making it more transparent, which is not quite what we want to do for this exercise. Okay, so 1 tray, a little bit of paint, 1 piece of A3 paper. We're sharing the paper. Have a play with what I've done, and then you think of how you want to do your blues at the base. So girls and guys, while you're working, this is called a colour study. Now, when I was painting, you would have seen how I did my mark making with my paint. I was going one way, which is like a hatching, and then I was going the other way, which is a cross hatching. Are you going to do yours going left to right? Are you going to do more mark making? Remember, you're doing sort of a forest environment, so it's not going to be that neat, flat colour. You do want to have some beautiful marks come in there. So girls and guys, what's happening with your studies at the moment is you've got on your paper lots of splotches of your colours. Now what you need to do is bring them together to work out how they're going to be brought together, in what order, and what sort of mark making you're going to do before you start your good one. So it's not just having 10 different colours on your paper, it's how are you going to bring them together and your mark making or your painterly strokes. Girls and guys, heads up for a second please. Up, up, up. When you start to do your painting, your canvas board is like so. Pretend to cut it in half. This section here is what goes on first, and this is the lightest section. Okay, the greeny colour gets mixed in with this, and then the bluey colour gets mixed in with this. Okay, so if you think you're ready to start, so you need to start with your lightest colour first, and I'll do a demonstration, and then I'm going to bring my green into that. So you have your colour studies and you have your plan of your attack, and then you've had a go at mark making. So I've used hatching and cross hatching. You need to divide approximately, don't use a pencil because you'll never get it off, divide your piece in half. Now I've got plenty of paint. If you don't get so much out, because we can't put it back, and it's about $30 a bottle, so we've just still got to be careful with that. So what I'm going to do is put my yellow on, and the tape will stop that from going underneath, and I'm using a big brush. Now I'm going to say I'm 99% sure you're going to put a second coat on this, and then that will get rid of all those streaky sort of lines. Now I still want that wet. Now I'm going to put a little bit of that ochre into mine. Now if you are painting and your paint is drying out before you can get to it, you can add more paint and work back into it. But we don't want to have, a lot of us have those bands at the moment, so we're going to try to get rid of those bands. And then I'm going to take my green. Now I've just stuck it into the green paint, so it's going to be strong for a start. So I'm going to start my first dab at the top, and then I'm going to bring that down. So I'm going to start that first dab at the top. Now looks a little bit scary at the moment, but you know what? We're doing a forest, and some of our forests ain't supposed to be that neat. So I'm not painting, I'm doing lots of marks. And I need to go up to that tape. Now I need to get that green into the yellow, but I don't want that green to be so strong. Okay, I've got far too much paint. So that's a good example of what not to do. Now, person filming me, how long has this taken me so far?
2 minutes and 20 seconds.
2 minutes to do nearly half a background. Okay, so we're looking for that painterly mark making. Don't strangle your pieces. Oh, they didn't even get that bit. I'm gonna put a bit more up there. And if we can get a coat on today, that means we'll get another coat on next week. Now I'm gonna go, I probably don't have enough. And then I'm gonna, ooh, that's not too bad. And then I'm gonna keep going with my blue down the bottom and bring that back up. I would like us to get one coat on this today.
You guys are on yellow. No, I didn't. So you used to. Yellow. Oh my god.
That's the same yellow that I'm using.
Yes, this is what we're using the lighter yellow, I think.
It's because they're brand new. So that's why we soak them in the water first. Girls and guys, make sure you give those brushes a bit of a wash before you use them. That's why we were soaking them, because they're new. If you think I'm kidding about you not getting this done before you leave for recess, you would be wrong. Okay, girls and guys, we've come back for our second lesson today. We have taken off our blazers, we've got our aprons on, we've rolled up our sleeves. We have our newspaper underneath our pieces, help save the amount of stuff we have to clean up at the end of our session. We have got water, we have got our brushes. Now we're only putting enough water sort of to cover the bristles of our brush. So you can keep throwing the water out and getting new water if you wish. But sometimes I actually like painting with dirty water. So that's up to you which way you want to go. Don't ask me if you can go and tip the water outside on the grass. Just go tip the water outside on the grass. Now, I've grabbed the colours that I used with our first layer of our piece. So you have a dominant colour and you have a weaker colour. Your darker colours in this situation, the blue and the green, are your dominant colours. So the same as what we did last week, we start with our weaker, our lighter, our less dominant color first. Okay, otherwise you'll tend to put too much of the dark color and cover up all that lightness. So it's the same thing. Don't change what you're doing. I'm sort of I can already see I don't have enough yellow paint. Okay, so I'm going to go get some more in a second. But start with your lightest color first. Make sure that you have paint to paint with, and we're going to get another coat of that background done. Okay, lightest color first, please. Have a go. Year 8, you should be finding with this second coat of colour that you're getting rid of the streakiness that your first coat had. You need to make sure that you're applying enough paint. It's not going to work if you don't apply enough paint. Sometimes you might have heard your teacher say, not too much paint, not too much paint. In this one, you need to make sure that you've got enough.
My primary school art teacher always used to yell at us if we used too much paint.
I understand what they're saying because I don't like to waste paint, but I also need people to paint with paint. There's always plenty there, so if you don't get enough, that's fine. You just have to go and get more. Now remember, the base of your piece still needs to be darker. Okay, I don't want the top and the bottom to be the same sort of tone. I want the base to have more weight, more of a darker tone on that.
Yes, I know, that's why I said that word.
Girls and guys, once you think you are done, look at your entire piece and have a look at the brush marks as you come down, the blending as you come down. If there's like a strong piece sticking out, do you want that? Do you not want it? How do you get rid of? Have a look at the marks that you've got across there. Try and have a look at the whole piece as a piece of artwork before we start putting on that detail. You're right, listen to that. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can hear is brushes in the room. It's Friday, period 1, and I've got a year 8 class and I can't hear a single person off task. I can hear you all on task. That is so cool.
Oh no.
Okay, so year 8, while your pieces are drying, and we've just put them all out and had a look at how we're all doing different bases, I've just grabbed some bronze, some gold and some silver, and I'm going to apply that over the top of the paint coloured palette that I have. because I don't want just those three new colours introduced on their own. You want to have a little bit of a reflection of those base colours in that as well. So if you need more paint, get more paint. You want to stamp it with different sized circles, and I think I said 9 or 11. One is I've just done one stamp and then I've lifted it up. For me, that's a little too thin for that sort of size. So I'm going to give it a little squiggle. I'm going to give it a little bit more of a squiggle. Yeah, I'm happier with that. Just because I want the circles to be different thicknesses, because that will in turn create more depth. So we're going to use different circles for on them. Let's say 9 or 11 circles. I would like odd numbered circles, and we're going to put a few of the whiter, fuller ones in there. Now when I say white, I don't mean a bright white, like you could think about putting the silver and white, or the white and the bronze, and incorporating those colors from your background so they're not isolated colors. Okay, we're going to have to share the circles. All right, so that's where I would like you to head to. Okay, girls and guys, don't forget, I would like an off the page, thinking outside the square circle on your pieces. I think that will look cool. Good? Okay, girls and guys, when we were in class the other day, how many circles did I ask you to do? 9 to 11, give or take. Now, we also had on our palette the background colours, which kind of mixed in with our next layer of colours. We're going to start our foreground colours today, and I want you to mix some of the middle ground colours in with the foreground. So can you see how we're bringing those colours through your piece? When you do a piece of art, generally, if you have something red, there should be a reflection of the colour somewhere, from a highlight, from a tonal colour that comes into that piece. So some of our green and yellows and blues from our background goes into our middle ground, which are our circles. Some of our circle colours go into our trees, which have a particular layer. So I've got some larger circles today as well, and some smaller ones. So I would like you to add about 5 or 6 more circles on, and then we're going to start to take off our trees in the background and start to apply that next layer on today. Okay, have a go. Okay, girls and guys, we've got a few more circles on, and what I've just done is I've recapped where my piece is at. So am I sure what the bottom and the top is? So the top should be the lighter color, and then the green is down the bottom. Then we need to go, okay, so what trees are in the background? And the trees that are in the background are the thinnest ones, and they're the ones that we put 2 layers of tape on. So I know, childproof. Okay, that this one has to come off. Now we've got wet paint on there as well now, so we've got to be careful with that. Now, when you're taking your tape off, you need to actually be careful how you take it off, because depending on how you've applied your paint, let's say, for example, I want to take my tape this way. What you can actually do is you can tear the paint off the background if you're not careful. So, which you've got 2 pieces. So this piece of tape, I'm going to pull in the direction so I'm not tearing it off, and then this one is also going to go so it's not going to come off. Here we go. Oh, can I separate them? Now it's going to be fine to rip them off like a band-aid, but please, and the other thing is making sure that you don't pull the tape off that's underneath as well. And then that, make a little stash of that, because some of that will have wet paint on, and then that can go straight in the bin. Okay, so you want to take this one off, and then I'm going to take this one off. I'm going to take 2 trees of tape. You know what I mean. Okay, have a go. Perfect. Now, the next part is we're going to take some of our, what colour did we get?
Brown.
Yes, we did get a brown. What was the brown called? Burnt umber. Okay, so close. Now, what we're going to do is going to get a little bit on our cards that we've brought in, or that I've got. Do a little test first, and you're going to sweep your colours. Now, as cool as that is not what we want. Okay, that's too neat, it's too flowing. We're trying to get a little bit of bark, a little bit of birch tree happening, so I don't want that. So I'm going to put it on, give it a bit of wiggle because you want to get up to the edge. Oh, yeah, that's cool. That's much better. All right, now, so it's nervous. I'm going to have a go at the real one. Oh, I might even put a little bit of the other color on. So I'm going to go up to my edge. Now, I would like to put my hand down, but I don't want to put it on any paint. I'm going to go up to my edge. Now, you've got to make sure that white edge is gone. So that's gone, and then I'm going to drag and lift a little, make it a little bit dirty.
Yeah, that looks good now.
Oh, I just put a little bit of that next other brown in there. That looked quite nice as well. And don't forget you've got your, oh, I'm struggling to talk while I'm working. Bit of chocolate. Don't forget you've got a little bit of gold on your palette as well. Now, you want to make sure that as you come down the tree line, that your tree line is straight as well. So when you connect the card to the board, I'm definitely going to put a little bit of that next brown in there.
So many black circles. Wow.
There's not too many times where your teacher is going to say, don't make it too neat. Don't make it too neat. Did you practice first?
Yeah.
Concentrating.
Hurry up.
So girls and guys, you're going fairly well. Just try to make sure that you work from one side across. I can see some of you are being a little bit too neat. Stop being so neat, but you've also got to try to make sure there's no gap on that, whatever side is the darkest, to come across. Oh, that was a really nice mark, but it's on the tape, so it's got to come off. Never mind. Oops, stuck my finger in the wet paint underneath.
And I'm going to take the next layer of the table.
Yep, your middle ground of your foreground of your trees, if that makes sense. Just give me a sec. So the next layer of colour that we're doing is, we were able to do our tape with our 4 pieces of tape, our 3 pieces of tape, and our 2 pieces of tape. So I'm going to do my third tree, which is the 3 pieces of tape. The one with a little branch coming off is the last one that we take off. So we're talking about bringing the colours through our pieces. You still need to bring the burnt umber through, but the next one you need to bring more of is that next layer of red. And we put 3 browns out there. So the next layer of the tree that we come through will have that one incorporated in as well. So again, we're going to try and have more, still have the brown, go to your edge and work your way. I'm going to put more of the red in there. Still going to use the brown, but I'm going to have more of that. Come across. So work your way up for your third tree. So you can take your tape off for the next one. So So girls and guys, my tree crosses over. So you've got to make sure that that edge is done even though the trees cross over. All right, girls and guys, so we're looking at having our final lesson for today. And I've got my colours out on my palette. So I've got some burnt umber, some red oxide, some raw sienna, some yellow oxide, and just some orange. Now we've done our background and our middle ground trees, but what I'm going to do is just use some of those colours and put a slight little edge on the other side of our trees today. So girls and guys, if you haven't done that that little edge on the opposite side, could you make sure you get that done and go right to the edge? I'm going to go back over that before I take my next layer of colour. Okay, that was fairly easy. How cool is it that we're painting with a card and not a brush? I love that. Okay, one more. Girls and guys, I'm not sure if you're doing it, but I'm actually collecting 2 different colours on my card before I paint. So I stick the card into some of the one colour and then I dab it in another, so I don't just have the one colour come up. Too neat, mess it up. Okay, now I'm going to take my tape off, which is a joyous experience. Oh, you nervous? Okay, point number 1, get tape off. Okay.
Like a material that it just instantly comes off. There's like a glue.
Okay, that was good.
That makes the purpose of the glue.
Oh, that's a nice little swish over that one. That's a good one. No, it helps to join it together. It's nice. I'm going to do it. Now you've got to go back over with your little splitches of orange and the yellow oxide. Yeah, flicks, not. Never mind. You're going good with your card, so you could do a little test and see what you're after before you. Pardon? Yeah.
Is it like an unused card?
I put one on that table there. Oh, a bit more. Oh, I nearly forgot an entire piece of tape, but never mind. Okay, so same. Well, you think about what side your light source is coming from. So for mine, I'm going to do the branch that comes off to my left. So if we got the same sort of thing, I'm going to put the darker, thicker side on the bottom. So that'll add weight to it rather than put the weight on the top. Okay, straight away I'm going to go a bit of that. Girls and guys, I've done nearly my tree in the foreground, but I'm going to take some of the, not yellow oxide, some of the raw sienna, and I'm just going to put a little flick in my other tree. So because you know how we're trying to bring the colours through as we go, the yellow and the green and the gold in all our bits and pieces. So I'm just going to flick some of that through. If you're not sure what I mean, just come and have a look. So I've taken some of this and I've just flicked it into my middle ground tree so it's not so isolated. I've taken some of this one and I've flicked it in my middle ground tree, but I haven't put my darker colour on my side yet either. Just so it's not so isolated, so it's not so stand out. I've taken some of this one.
Oh yeah.
And then I've just flicked it over here.
Okay.
So it's not so central.
Yeah.
Just little. And then I haven't put that brown on the edge yet. Oh, that's lovely. I'm so going to use that, Michaela. Did you want me to point out what I was saying?
No.
Can you explain it to me then, what I meant?
Bring it all together.
So I've taken some of this colour, which is on my foreground, and then I've flicked it in my other trees. I'm not drowning it, but I'm just, so that we're bringing those colours through all our pieces. What was it? What were you doing?
We had a... Yes. 50 cents.
No. Like using
Okay, now that I put my brown on my foreground tree, it's too outlined, so I'm going to smudge that out a bit. So have you put your little flecks of you can do the same sort of process as we're using with the cards. You can get what's called, Michaela's actually got a really nice idea, or you can get a brush, put some in and flick some across. You can use your finger to put some little squiggles on there to change the texture of your tree.
What colours do you do?
So I'm going to use the yellow oxide and the orange.
Okay.
Maddie actually had to play it using the white, and some of that's gone okay as well, so I don't mind. This is what I was trying to explain to the whole class. What a shame my whole class was working. What colour's on that? I don't know. Have a look at it from a distance and see if there's something that you want to play with. So for example, I'm just going to put a little bit of a darker bit through that to break it up. There'll be something on the side. What on the what's going on the top? Okay. Can I suggest you put it at a, so you put a little flecks of something lighter on the top? Good. Put it and have a look at it from a distance just to see if there's something missing, if there's a spot, if there's a gap, if there's something in there that you could put in. Perfect. Yeah, what a shame to have paint all over you in the room.
I like paint on this.
Do your test first. So girls and guys, I'm now using the orange and the yellow oxide, and I'm using my card just to put a little flick through my things in the foreground. But then I will put a soft little colour so it's not isolated in the middle ground and the background. Michaela, have you finished with that brush? Yeah, the little marks are beautiful, aren't they? We just put all the stuff on the drying rack, I reckon, or on the newspaper, and then when we pack up, I'll collect them. I'm going to get you to photograph them and upload them to your class task. Yeah. That little mark is awesome. I love it. The one you did on your thing, your horizontal. It's a great little filler. I think I'll do the same sort of thing, but I might use the backgrounds.
Literally, you got your own newspaper, that's all you did. I'm sorry, so you got his own newspaper. He's done the exact same amount. I've done four. I got 3, you got 2.
So I've got you some paint there. Is the task thing? Put your apron on. Yeah, cool. Photograph and upload. Do
That's it. Snaps back.
this is your idea. This is your idea.